friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I'm here today with Alderon to talk about a couple books that we just recently read that we absolutely loved, and we're really excited to talk about them today. So I know that we've talked about graphic novels a lot recently. There's just been so many great ones that have come out. So I've got two more today that I want to talk to you about, that one of which I think actually might be, it might end up on my best graphic novels of the year list, because it was just perfect in every way. Like they say in Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. Well, that is how I completely felt about this book. I didn't know anything about it, and then one of the children's librarians pointed it out to me, and she's like, oh, this looks right up your alley, you need to try it. So I did. Actually, with both of these, that was the case. She was like, hey, these look really great. You might want to read them, which is why librarians are so fantastic, right? So I tried them, I read them, and I absolutely loved them. Two really fantastic graphic novels. So the first one was really perfect timing for me when it came across my path, and this one is called Guardians of Horsa. It's the first book in a series. This one is called Legend of the Yearling. Guardians of Horsa. It's by Roan Black, which I don't know if that's their actual name or if it's just a pseudonym, but it's really fun if it is. This, as you can see from the cover, is a fantasy graphic novel, and it is about wild horses, like magical horses, which is really cool, right? We always have a lot of books about dragons, we've got a lot of books about unicorns and stuff like that, but this is just about horses that are magical, different elemental powers. So I've been really getting back into My Little Pony recently. It's something that I loved a lot when I was younger, and I've just completely fell back in love with it as an adult now. So this was so amazing to have come into my path when it did, because I just can't get enough of magical ponies right now, and this book is so much that. So the story is pretty standard. It's a pretty simple story. It's also not a very long graphic novel. It's pretty short. And it's basically about this world where these magical horses live. The different elemental horses live in different sections of the world, and then one main rule that everybody has is nobody goes into other horses' territory. So basically the fire ponies live in this like volcano-y place, and the water ponies live on the underwater place, and they do not cross each other's path. So until one day this prophecy appears about this yearling, which is a young pony who is going to come into these unknown magical powers, and 4 ponies, one from each elemental, place in the world, has to form a team to go and explore and see what is going on with this prophecy. So I love that it was a cute little story about friendship. You've got all these all these ponies who would normally never associate with each other, and then have to sort of work together and become friends, which is kind of like real life, right? You go to school, you go to work every day, you're around people who might not be like you, and that's really cool, right? So you can learn from other people's life experiences, you can see what their experiences have to offer, and it's really fun. So yes, that was basically the like underlying theme of this, is working together and forming bonds and friendships where otherwise there wouldn't be. But I think for me, while I do really like a theme like that, for me the magic of this was just the art and the world. Like I loved it. Was just so different to finally read a graphic novel about magical horses that were not unicorns or pegasi. I mean, yes, they can fly, and yes, he's got a horn and everything, but they weren't unicorns and they weren't pegasi. So it was just, they're just magical ponies, and that was so fun. This is just a fun, lighthearted, beautifully drawn graphic novel. So like the art for this is so fantastic, like I just mentioned. I really loved how all of the different ponies have their own sort of design. Like you've got the water ones, and it's just really fun. You've got the earth ponies. Like they're just, if you're a type of person who really likes art and you really like drawing and you really just like seeing new stuff, I think that this is the kind of graphic novel that you will be drawn to, because it just seems to spark creativity. At least in my head it did. So this is really fun, like I said, lighthearted, not too deep, but just a wonderful graphic novel, Guardians of Horsa. So the next one I want to talk about is the one that I think is probably going to end up on my favorite graphic novels of the year list at the end of the year. And I know it's so early to be thinking about things like that. We're not even in June yet. We're not even through half of the year. But, you know, I'm always trying to pay attention to stuff like that. And this just was absolutely fantastic. So, this one is called D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, Dungeon Club Roll Call. And it's by Molly Knox Ostertag and Xanthi Beaumont. Now, Molly Knox Ostertag is a someone who writes graphic novels that I absolutely love. When I heard that it was them that wrote this, I was over the moon excited. They also wrote Witch Boy, and a couple other books that I just absolutely love. Witch Boy is the one that immediately comes to mind, though. So this is fantastic. So this is definitely one of those graphic novels that, while it is fun, it's a fun read, it also has, like, I think the importance of it and the significance of it lies in the other themes. So basically this is about two friends named Jess and Olivia who are starting middle school, and Olivia's excited and Jess is not so excited. But Jess figures that Jess is really not good at making friends. She's not good at talking to people, but she has Olivia, and that's really all that matters. She just needs the one friend, right? So where Jess and Olivia are so close is that they have created this Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So Dungeons and Dragons is something that's getting a lot of popularity, and it's getting a lot of attention the past couple years. There's a new movie that's just released. You know, there's been a lot of tie-in interest in it because of it being such a major part of the TV show Stranger Things. But Dungeons & Dragons has been around for decades, and it's basically a tabletop role-playing game where you can take on the persona of a character that you've created, and then the person who runs the game is the dungeon master, and they basically lay the story out. And it's like a story that you talk through out loud, you create as you go, and it's really cool. So the first thing I want to say about this is, yes, Jess and Olivia are really steeped in this game that they play together. But you do not have to go into this knowing anything about Dungeons & Dragons. So I've always wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons. It sounds so interesting to me and right up my alley. I love creativity and I love fantasy, but it's just something I've never gotten around to doing. So I don't know a lot of, like, the ins and outs of it. I don't know how the game, like, actually functions or how it works. You don't have to know any of that going into it, because as the story goes on, it really paints a really good picture of how it all works. So don't worry about being like, well, I've never really played this before. I don't know much about it. I'm not going to enjoy this graphic novel. Yes, you are. It's fantastic. So anyway, Jess and Olivia are best friends. They've started middle school. Well, now Olivia wants to start inviting other people to play the game with them, and Jess is not on board with that at all. So she starts to kind of like sabotage these plans that Olivia has, which causes a lot of rifts in the friendship. They do get this one boy who comes to start playing, and he's somebody that is bullied a lot. And Jess is afraid that that bullying is going to spread over to them if they allow him to play. So there's a lot of different interesting characteristics and qualities of this story. I loved it. I loved it so much. I thought that they did a wonderful job showing the game and all of its fun and why people are so drawn to it. I thought they did a wonderful job talking about the bullying aspect of this book, and also the friendship, and, like, you know, middle school is hard. All school is hard, really. Elementary school and middle school and high school. Like, all of it is tough sometimes. And, you know, making friends and being true to yourself is sometimes the hardest parts of that. And this book does a really great job about that as well. And, of course, with Molly Knox Ostertag, it's a wonderful story that is just beautifully illustrated. So you have these moments of, like, within the game itself, with Jess's character playing, and you see the story unfolding before you, and then you go and flash back to the school and what is going on with the school and the everyday lives. So it's really, really fantastic. The colors are really beautiful. They're soft. The palette is nice. It's just gorgeous. And like I said, I really loved the going back and forth between the regular world and what is going on at school and with the bullies and stuff versus the actual playing world with the game. It's super, super fun. I highly recommend this book. It's just absolutely fantastic. If you know about Dungeons & Dragons, if you don't know about Dungeons & Dragons, oop, lost a dragon, speaking of Dungeons & Dragons. So I would say no matter where you are with that, if you've played the game before, if you haven't, if it's something you're interested in, if it's something you're not interested in, this is still just a really wonderful story. And again, look at that art. It's like the cover of this is the three of them playing plus the characters on top. Absolutely fantastic. You have to give this one a try. Dungeon Club. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that these books sound really interesting and awesome and that you're just as excited about them as I have been to talk about them. Please feel free to come check them out from Farmington Community Library, and then also please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.